the Bucs are going to make a deep run in the playoffs, what would the reason be?
Well, I think the first thing for me is Bucky Irving and the run game, along with Rachaad White. But when this team really gets cooking on offense is when this run game gets started, and then we could see Baker Mayfield get into the play action shots. Bucky Irving has been a back that surprised me with his style of play, but it's been the effectiveness, the success, and the production throughout this entire season, especially the back half, that I believe has propelled the Tampa Bay Buccaneers into the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a great point about Bucky Irving. He's averaged 5.4 yards per rush this season, fourth best amongst running backs, trailing only Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, and Jahmyr Gibbs. That's
Bye,
pretty
Lord.
good. Bye, I'll see you later. Keep it warm for me
when
up here.
I host, they don't let me walk down the stairs.
Well, because it's dangerous, but, we can do it. All right, the Rams won.
All right, well, let's talk about the Buccaneers. Not watch her walk down the stairs. Okay. Good old NFL Live. So, listen. Buccaneers win the NFC South for the fourth straight season. Yeah, definitely an important win, obviously. I know the Falcons ended up losing anyway, but I still think it was good to kind of end on that high note. Have some great moments. That was a tough game, a harder game than I think Buccaneers fans wanted it to be against the Saints. But I think Baker Mayfield made some really, really beautiful high-level throws, but then also had some really bad moments as well. And so when you ask the question, what will it take for this Buccaneers to go the distance? To me, it really all comes down to Baker Mayfield. I think this Buccaneers team as a whole, and it's always been a little hard to evaluate them because of all their injuries, but they either play really, really special or they have just a really rough game. And it's just like we saw what they're capable of doing. We see their high points. The big thing that they need to do is just to bring more more consistency to the game from start to finish, right? I just even mean now, just even within the game itself, because they can have quarters where they look like, oh my God, who can stop this team? And then they have another quarter where you're like, oh my God, how can they win the game? And you're just not going to be able to have that in the playoffs. But I think the fact that, where they are, I think they're in a fascinating situation. Because obviously if they win, most likely you have to kind of have some of these extra predictions. It would go down to between either facing the Eagles or the Lions, and those are two teams that the Buccaneers have obviously beaten. Now, I definitely am very firm on what happened earlier in the season is very irrelevant, because both of these teams, all three of these teams, the Bucs, the Lions, and the Eagles, are all completely different. They're just different teams, different game plans, different expectations, different level of intensity. They're just different. So it doesn't matter to me as much what happened earlier on in the season at this point. If it was a week 16, week 17 game, I think it could hold a little bit more weight. But even then I would say, okay, whatever. That was a game during the regular season. This is the playoffs. This is different. But we know the Buccaneers know how to ball and kind of get to it. But I really do think it comes down to Baker, and Baker, taking care of the ball, not trying to force things. Make the big play, but not try to force the big play, not try to be a hero. Also using his legs. His legs have been awesome, and he's been able to really open up the field with his legs. But he's got to be careful, because he's been taking some shots recently, and it's kind of like you can't get your bell rung. You can't get knocked out. You can't get concussed. That's the way how the NFL these days now. It's you get a little bit extra of a hit, and it's before you know it, they're not letting you back in the game. They're taking your helmet and saying goodbye. Or even if you just miss a few drives because they got to put you in the blue tent and do some tests, and then it's just before you know it, you just had a couple drives where you go 3 and out, and that could be the game. So it's Baker, I love him using his legs, but he never wants to get down, and it's just get down, man. Just get down. I know you're a fighter. I know you're a bulldog like that, but a pit bull, it's just, but get down. You got to protect yourself, because the team needs you too much. What I did not like about this game more than anything was the penalties, the 12 penalties. I'm such a stickler for penalties because they absolutely crush you. I think penalties are arguably the most underrated aspect. We always talk about turnovers. You know, if you lose a turnover battle, you lose the game and this, that, and the third. But it's like penalties are such an influential aspect of why teams lose. It's just, 12 penalties for 90 yards. It's an entire length of a football field, man. Like, that stuff matters. That stuff matters. And if you are going up against the Lions, the Eagles, etc., like, that's going to be that's a tough situation to be in. That is a tough situation. And, yeah, I mean, it's just going up against the Commanders is going to be a fun game. I know you beat the Commanders week 1. Again, week 1, Jaden Daniels' first game ever. Jaden Daniels is obviously not the same quarterback. And the defensive game plan that you had against him in week 1 is certainly not going to be the same, in the playoffs. So really, really, really exciting matchups here. And I just think that, I think in a lot of ways, the Bucs kind of showed what they could do against the Saints. And that will be very similar to the mentality that you bring to the Commanders. Again, Baker used his legs, 9 carries for 68 yards. They were 10 for 16 on third down, so highly efficient, 1 for 1 on fourth down. And overall, they ran really well, 179 yards on 31 carries, 5.8 yards per carry. Like, that's exactly what you're going to need to bring into the playoffs, especially versus the Commanders. Take away the penalties, cut the penalties in half, and it's like, and you're golden. Make smarter throws, boom, golden. And yeah, I don't know. This game is really exciting, and clearly the NFL thinks that this is the most exciting game because it has them in prime time. It's like the 8 o'clock game, so it's like they have them set for, like, this is the game that majority of the eyes are going to be on and watching. So it would appear to me that the NFL thinks that this game will be the most competitive, the most action-packed, and the most interesting, which is why it's highlighted in the true prime slot. So yeah, man, I am pumped for this game, honestly. I don't know what the weather is going to be down there. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy, so we can just get like a good game that really is just left up to the players and nothing else. And it seems like both teams are, relatively speaking, healthy too. So it's not like any big loss going into this game, like we've seen with the Packers losing Watson and potentially the Ravens with, say, Flowers and whatnot, and even Jordan Love potentially with the Green Bay Packers, and Jalen Hurts is still in the concussion protocol. So for the most part, I think we got these teams going head to head, the Buccaneers and the Commanders, and should be a great matchup. And you get to, and if you're a Buccaneers fan, hopefully you get to take advantage of Jaden Daniels in his first ever playoff game as a rookie, which, can't be undersold. That's a real thing that we consistently see with young quarterbacks. So I honestly can't wait, man. I'm pumped. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Buccaneers winning the NFC South for the 4th straight season? Do you think that they're just kind of happy to be there? Do you think this is kind of house money? Or do you think that there's real expectations for them to do some damage in the playoffs? If so, what do you think it will take? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here. I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.